Realtone model 1248. What does that say? Oh, it's black. This come from a lot on eBay, and some of these instant play 3 IFs. What? Yeah, I don't know about the 3 IF claim. I mean, it may have 3 transformers, but I believe we have 3 IFs. That'd be really cool. And on this side, it says Hong Kong, and it's got the black is in like a gold thing there. And so, oh, and one thing I noticed too, got someone's name on the back. I don't know. Seems like I looked this up, and I don't remember what year we're looking at here, but her logo is falling off. This, I mean, someone may have worked on it because that's maybe come unglued or someone's taken it off. Fine precision instrument that is engineered for maximum efficiency. Well, and then we've got the earphones. If you, oh man, where's the other one? Is this a thing where you just, there's only one ear, or is it broke? I mean, I think it's really cool when they come with the box and case and all this stuff, you know. Yeah, that being unglued makes you think someone's worked on it. 7 transistor, 1 local oscillator transistor, and 1 varistor and 1 diode. Varistor. Is that like a thermistor? Alright, let me get this apart. So yeah, as suspected, I don't think it has 3 IF stages, but it does have 2, because this would be, oh, that came out. So this would be like for the converter, first IF, second IF detector. That appears to be the detector diode. This is a germanium transistor, but, well, then we've got another germanium here. But the rest appear to be silicon. So all we can do is connect it to power, get it through a grain of wheat, and see if it makes any noise. This was sold as untested. All right, I've got it connected through this amp meter, and then there's a grain of wheat bulb here connected through the battery. So this is just the grain of wheat's to limit the current in case there's a short. This is to see what the current draw is. And I haven't ever mentioned this before, but there was a radio that I worked on earlier in my channel that I kind of used it one and then I skipped it, and the thing had a really bad short, and I think it caused me a lot of problems. So I've been trying to be real religious about doing it this way because it seems like the smartest way. A crackling sound is a good sign. I heard a station. Oops. I mean, I heard a station for a split second. We could try heating up an electrolytic a little bit and I mean, theoretically, we got those pretty warm. Yeah, they're pretty warm. Oh, I didn't show you the current draw. The current draw looks so. It was a little bit higher and it's kind of went down. So, I would think we're looking at some dried out electrolytics. I would think they must be really, really open. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna go find out what year this was made, but I'm gonna pull this board out and we'll kind of jump the electrolytics or something. At least I think that's what's going on. I thought we could take a look at the schematic here. This is on the inside of the back cover for the radio, and it's very hard to see, and I've got my better microscope that I keep in the house. I've got it out here and it's zoomed in pretty darn far, and just to give you some scale here of how tiny this is, it's really small. So I was looking for at the circuit, and the first thing it's interesting that there's two transistors here in the front end. So this would be your antenna coil tuning capacitor type circuit. You see the other part of it here, and I don't know if this would be considered kind of like I don't know if that would be an RF preamp or is it's just two separate oscillators, but either way I would think the incoming signal would be amplified quite a bit better than normal. So maybe this thing would actually perform pretty well if it was working, and it's got two IF stages. But I only seen two electrolytics, and it looks like there's one here, and I don't really know what that's doing. So it's going up to first, this is first IF, and it's going up. Yeah, it's physically connected to that transformer, or I'm sorry, it's connected to the secondary winding, which is on the base. So that kind of looks like it would be for AGC, but yeah, I think that might be for AGC, because I think it's blocking DC, and then it's putting an AC voltage on this line here. But it's got to be for AGC. I can't see what else it would be for unless it's for stability. And the other one, so I was looking at the audio stage, and here is you've got like a pre-driver, and then another driver, and then you've got your final output. So there's 4 transistors. Here's the speaker. So you got 4 transistors for your audio, which, I mean, looks nice. I mean, getting your amplification in 3 different stages would always, I think, be preferable. But this looks like an electrolytic here, and I don't understand how it's decoupled. I guess, yeah, I don't quite understand what that's for. And that looks like a symbol for an electrolytic. I mean, it's hard to tell because this thing's like even a little bit dirty. I had to remove some splotches off of it, but also there's a diode right here that connects up to this final audio. I don't know what that's doing there. I have no idea what that's. There's something fancy about this. Oh, I mean, I don't think they would put an extra diode in for no reason unless maybe they're using it kind of like a resistor sorta or something. But that doesn't. It doesn't look to be the case, but I suppose it could be. Maybe is it helping set up the bias on here? I don't know. I don't know what this second diode is for. The first diode here, this is the detector, and you see that because you've got your well, it's coming out of the second IF, but then you've got your capacitor and resistor in the neighborhood there. But yeah, I don't understand the audio decoupling. I don't exactly know what this is doing, and I don't know what the diode's doing. So it's just part of the learning process. But let me give you a really slow tour of this schematic in case somebody has one of these radios. Because I know just that not all, some people may have torn them off, or maybe your radio didn't come with it. Let me zoom out and we'll look at it that way. That might be. We'll zoom out quite a bit here. Oh, there we go. We got it. So it'll give you kind of a, if you want the bird's eye view. Very, very tiny. And not printed very, the fidelity's pretty poor, so that's, I've had smaller ones like this that I could see real well under the microscope, but this one's hard to read. But at least there's one here. I mean, I think I'm pretty excited about this with those 2 transistors up here and then having the pre-driver for the audio. I mean, I wish it, doesn't have a third IF, but I mean, this thing might perform okay. So I'm going to pull, I don't know which of those capacitors I'll be pulling. I'll try to figure it out by seeing what it's connected to, but I don't even think I'm going to jump them. I'm just going to go ahead and pull them. Someone's been in it before. I don't know if they did anything, but there was only one screw in it, and it was up here at the top, and that thing was so stripped out, and it didn't look like the factory screw, but it was severely stripped out. And yeah, that was a huge pain. The other screws are gone, so I don't know. Maybe they just didn't put the other screws in it from the factory, and maybe the factory stripped the screw out. It looked like it had a little bit of paint on it. Could have been some factory paint, but yeah, hopefully no one's been in here messing around. I should have known that it's been taken apart before, because that was somebody's unglued it, and that's so they could get to the screw behind that. So someone may have worked on this. I'm worried. And I don't know what this is. So this piece was in here, and it went into this plastic piece and come up around the speaker there. Is this like a thermistor or something. I don't know what this is. It's got like a clear plastic tube around it. I don't know what that is. It kind of looks like someone might have soldered on it here, but it's hard to tell. The solder, if they did, the soldering looks pretty good. It kind of looks factory, but there is some flux around there that I don't know. I see flux on these sometimes from the factory in some spots and not others, but it does look like maybe it was cleaned with from the factory and then someone soldered in this area, but it's hard to tell. Yeah, and what I did, and I do this on a lot of them now. It's rather than taking all this crap apart, I desoldered. I took a picture and then desoldered these from the circuit board, and I'm sure some of y'all do the same thing. But basically, I've got a test speaker. And it's just a cheap speaker that I got on Amazon a long time ago, and it's got hookup wire on it, so it's not stranded, pre-tinned. You can get big roll real cheap. So it's easy to tack in there to solder it, and it's real stiff. But yeah, this is a lot better way to test them in my opinion. The sound quality doesn't seem to be quite as good from it as the some of the well, it's a toss up. Some of them it would sound better, um, but it's just it's a cheap speaker, and I don't know if it's even an 8 ohm speaker. It might be a 2. I got the first one out, and man, it was hard to get out. Like I spent like 10 minutes. I mean, it just, wow, there was just solder everywhere and legs on top of legs. And this thing's still pretty warm, but well, okay. The other times I tried to test it wouldn't test. So now all of a sudden it's testing as a 16.9 and it's supposed to be a 10. Why wasn't it testing before? My leg's not making contact. That's not that bad if that turns out to be true. It says Singapore on it. Well, I guess it's testing now. 16, I mean, doesn't really look that bad. So, kind of makes you think that maybe capacitors aren't what's causing this, but we still got one more to go. That one wasn't the easiest one to get out either, but it wasn't like the last one. 64 microfarads, it's supposed to be a 30. I mean, I don't think that's what's shutting the radio down. So, yeah, that didn't fix it. The symptom is you can, I would have did this on the camera, but I don't think it would work. You can hear sound from the speaker, but it's very, very, very quiet. You got to hold it right up to your ear, and you can hear a little bit of static. And it does seem like turning the tuning capacitor maybe has some effect on it, but I couldn't really hear any stations. But it almost sounded like maybe I could hear voices, like some crackling. But it's. I thought we had heard a station for like a hint when I first plugged it in, but yeah, I think there's something else going on, and I don't know what I want to do to diagnose it yet. I think I might take a signal generator and start connecting it and see what happens. Well, the audio amplifier is working. When I inject a 1,000 hertz sine wave at 0.7 volts, if I inject that into the diode, the detector diode, it beeps at me. And I checked both where both leads of the antenna wire go to those I assume those two separate transistors in the front end, and there's no oscillations happening. There's nothing. And when I inject 455, I can kind of feel the speaker bump whenever I hit the base of one of those transistors. The other one doesn't seem to respond. So I think there's something going on in the front end. So I've checked the two front end transistors, and I believe this one is the lower one on the schematic. I think it might be more like a converter And never mind the negative signs, but so it's got 6.55 on one leg, 6.1 on the other, and 2.43. And I started checking the other transistor, the one that's below the tuning capacitor here, and I know these two are connected to each other, but I don't think this transistor is conducting because there's a resistor in here, this one here, and it goes down and it looks like it's connected to probably I don't know if it's the base. Well, probably it's probably the collector, but it's got 7.42 volts on one side and 7.42 volts on the other. There's no voltage drop across that resistor at all. So that makes me think that transistor's not conducting, and that's why there's no voltage drop. So I don't know whether it's NPN or PNP. And the one leg I can get on, and I'm getting about 7 volts. But I can't get to the other. I've tried and tried and tried. I just can't get to them. And so, and I I can't exactly find the legs too easy either, because on the other side, because there's so many things that have this kind of, like, the voltage is just basically the same. It's like there's no current drop. There's no current being used. And I think it's because that transistor is not conducting. This one may be bad too, and who knows? Maybe I mean, there could be a bad resistor or something, but um, I'm getting voltage on both sides of that one. So I think these dome style silicons are real suspect anyway. So I think it would be wise just to go ahead and pull it out. So I pulled the one that had the a voltage drop across it, and yeah, I probably shouldn't have pulled this one. HFE is not bad, but why is the emitter current so high? It's like I don't even really know what that means on this meter, because that's not leakage, but usually it's like a couple milliamps, and this one 600 plus. I don't know. Haven't checked to see if it was shorted. The diode check seemed okay, but 2N3904, or I'm sorry, 3906, I'm going to put back in there. Good HFE. And yeah, the collector current on that one, 1.56. The other one, it was 600 and something. I've never seen that. I don't really know what that means, but there could have been something wrong with that thing after all. I said collector current, that's emitter current. So apparently I messed up on something really simple. You know, I think it's one thing when you can't diagnose the really hard stuff, but I was following this one trace around trying to make sure that I got this transistor in there right, and I noticed that from one side of the power switch to the other, or basically what kind of led me down that path was I was putting my probe on the positive and kind of going down this trace because I wanted to see, is this positive? And no matter where I checked, I had 1.5K of resistance. So I thought, okay, they've got some kind of resistor coming from the power supply that that kind of sets up a pre-bias for a whole bunch of stuff, and or just kind of knocks the voltage down a little. And as I've seen that on some radios, but it's usually a lot smaller resistor, but I couldn't find one anywhere. And it's not on the schematic. And when I tested it across the power switch, it had 1.5K of resistance. And it was so dirty. And I did my best to clean it up. And I got it to, well, it's showing 0 now. So I still don't think that's going to fix the radio, but it's got a better shot at working now. So don't know when this happened when I was testing everything, but I was trying to figure out that I had the transistor installed right. And I know one pin should go to ground, directly to ground, and I couldn't get any connection to ground, and yeah, I come down here and it's kind of hidden under the positive wire, but it just popped off where it was soldered on at, and I can't believe I overlooked that. That's just, oh man. So I got the other one out, and I don't know. I mean, the HFE is pretty terrible, but that emitter current, like, why is that so high? Same thing as the other one. The other one was like 600, but normally that's like 1 or 2. I don't really know what that means. And I looked in the manual and they don't really explain it. I'm wondering if that's the amount of current that flowed when they got it to actually bias at this voltage. I don't know. There's a firmware update for this I need to install. So I've been at this for a couple more nights out here, and I got two those 2 transistors have changed. Got them double checked, made sure they were in the right way, and then I had trouble figuring out the way that the antenna connects because it didn't. I guess I didn't have enough pictures. And man, I had a really heck of a time trying to figure out where one part of it goes, but it's still not oscillating, and I'm getting like all this nice crackling sound that I didn't get before. Not this good. And when I inject 455 kilohertz with my signal generator, I can hear static, but I can't tune any stations. The tuning capacitor seems to have no effect, and I've checked the circuit pretty well. And the one thing I found is one side of this AM bar antenna coil, it's got like 0.6 ohms. But the other side has over 20 ohms, which seems really high to me. I don't know if maybe that's normal, but I wouldn't think that coil of wire would have that many ohms. That really seems suspicious to me. It makes me think there's something going on with that bar antenna. And as I look at it, I don't really see anything that looks wrong. But then again, it would be really hard to tell. I mean, one break in a wire somewhere or something would cause that, but yeah, it doesn't oscillate. I've checked it with my oscilloscope, and it won't oscillate at all. And I did put my tester. It was a pain to hook up, but I hooked my tester to the tuning capacitor, tuned it all the way down, and I think it was 23 picofarads, and then I tuned it all the way up. I would think it was 147. So I think that's about what they normally are. So I think that's right. I think the tuning capacitor is good, but I don't understand why I'm getting 20 ohms on that other side of the antenna coil. I guess one other thing to do would be to see I don't know, I might have to take them out of circuit to see if they're shorted together, but I'm going to have to Google that because I don't know, 20 ohms, that doesn't seem right. Also, I'm not sure this really has anything to do with the fault, but there's this capacitor. I guess this is a capacitor right here. And I'm wondering, what is that thing? Looks like R102 or something 102 CL plus. I mean, maybe this is some type, is this like a early style paneling capacitor or something? I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's the fault, but I just kind of wonder what it is. I hope someone knows, because I tried to Google it and I can't Can't find anything. So I got out this other radio. This is a J-1248 that I worked on. It's got a short somewhere, and I kind of messed up one of the transformers on it. And anyway, there's a video on it, but it doesn't end well. But I measured the resistance of the bar antenna, and I'm getting 0.8 across one side and 8 ohms on the other side. So maybe 25 ohms is okay. Maybe that's not that bad. But it does, I mean, even 8 ohms seems high. But I'm going to check, I got to check this again. And I don't know, honestly. If it's not the bar antenna, then the only other thing left would be to check these disc capacitors and resistors. And I don't know what else. I mean, it could be, I just think a disc capacitor is just so unlikely to go bad that I don't know that they're worth checking. There's a 10 nanofarad capacitor that goes from, it's a disc capacitor. It goes from the antenna coil back over to the base of one of the two oscillator transistors. So in other words, the AC current from that tank circuit could go between the tuning capacitor and the base, or in the antenna and the base of that transistor via this capacitor. So it blocks DC in both directions. And I didn't figure it was bad, but I don't know what else to check at this point, so I pulled it out. I mean, it's test okay. It's not great, but it's okay. And I would put a new 10 in there, but I don't have any 10s. I got 12s. I think I had some 8.6s, but I'm not going to fudge on this one. I think I want to go back with a 10. But the thing that I did notice is that I did have the antenna wire in the wrong spot, because it was, when I was unsoldering this capacitor, it should have been on the trace that wire was on, and it's not. So I don't know. We can hook it up the right way and see if that makes any difference. Alright, so I kind of wanted to see what was going on with the first IF transistor, just because I wouldn't think that would stop it from oscillating, but I wanted to just use, I mean, I got all this test equipment, so I might as well learn how to use it. So I'm injecting 455 up to up at the, basically at the very first stage, up at the near the what I would call the converter transistor, it's one of the two transistors at the top. It's basically where the antenna coil hooks up to one of them, to the base of one of those transistors. So and if I go down to the base of the IF transistor, or what appears to be the base, it's hard to hold all this stuff, so there's what we get going in. Now I've got 700 millivolts going in at the top, and we're getting 180 down here. So it's, I don't know where the voltage is going. I mean, but so that's kind of one thing. But there's 180 again on the base, and then on the collector, you can see we're getting, we're getting about 900, close to 900 millivolts. So that transistor seems to be working. But what I'm wondering is where's the voltage going? Like, how come when I inject up at the top, I mean, it's like the voltage is going down instead of up. But I mean, we do have a couple of transformers in between there, so I guess we could be trading some voltage for some current, I suppose. I guess that would kind of make sense. So I mean, that lets, like, the signal path is good from the top of the radio on at least through the first IF. Heck, I guess we could. Let me hook onto the detector with my probe, and we'll check that. I mean, that'll check the second IF, and we'll see if signal's getting through there too. I mean, I wouldn't think it would be, but just gotta find. This may be a little tricky. I think I'm on the detector here. Let's see. I think I'm on. No, apparently not. Yeah, so wow, 457 kilohertz, and we're at nearly 5 volts. So things look really nice at the detector coming out of the second IF. So I think the signal path is good. I mean, it just, I don't get it. I mean, it's I just don't want to I don't want to just blame the antenna coil and walk away from it and say, well, it's got a bad antenna, but I don't know what else to check. I don't. I mean, everything. Yeah, everything seems to look pretty good, and I mean, there's definitely, I can definitely prove that there's a good signal path from the front end all the way down through the detector, and I can prove that the audio amplifier works really well, because for one, you can hear crackling out of the speaker, and for two, you can hear when I inject with an signal generator, I can hear audio real well. I mean, it works perfectly. So I don't know. I'm just really at a loss at this point. And again, the antenna coil looks okay visually, but I mean, it would be kind of hard to tell. It's kind of cruddy there on the bottom a little bit, but well, maybe not too bad. What is that? It's like glue or something. It's probably not a big deal, maybe. But here's the 2 points. This is one spot of the antenna coil, and this is the other spot. Or I'm sorry, these are two sides of the tuning capacitor, and this is also where one side of the antenna coil hooks up. And when I go between here and here, that's when I get the 20-something ohms. And I resoldered this and re-tinned it, and it dropped by maybe like an ohm or something. But this is a factory solder, and it looks pretty good, so I'd be kind of shocked if that was the issue. And I could try to change the antenna with the other antenna that I have. I guess I could try that, but I don't know. I don't even know if that antenna is good, but because, like I said, it measures 8 ohms. So I'm gonna do some more head scratching, because I'm definitely, I don't want to give up on it yet.
So I had my signal generator out here playing with that and just kind of checking everything over, and I still don't really know if this is going to fix it or not, but I can't imagine that it would work without it. Um, if you look here, you'll see this piece of trace is gone, and there's a capacitor leg here that I changed, and I don't remember that piece of trace being lifted. I think it looks like it lifted later because you can see that's kind of pulled up. So I think the trace was there, and as I've been flipping the radio over and working on it or something, um, that piece of trace come off. And I took a picture of this beforehand, so I know that those are supposed to be connected. So I'm gonna put a jumper on there and see what happens.
Well, I wish I had some good news to report, but I don't. I um I've worked on this thing so much to the point of ridiculousness now. I think it's been a couple of weeks, and pretty much every day I've came out here and worked on it, at least for anywhere between 30 minutes or as much as 2 or 3 hours. And yeah, I've probably in some evenings I spent a lot more than that, or some days I spent more than that. I probably worked on it between 30 and 40 hours at this point, and I can't get it to work. Now, what I did determine that the antenna coil, I think it's good. Um, the factory solder joint, I actually resoldered it, and the resistance went down to, when I test it now, it's at 3.8 ohms, which does still seem a little high, but um, I mean, I tested this junk radio, the antenna coil on it actually looks like it got nicked with a soldering gun, so I don't know, but it tests 6 point something maybe, but I don't know. Would think the resistance would be really, really, really low, but but yeah, I think the antenna coil is probably good. And when I inject a signal in, I'm seeing voltage increase across the first IF tr- uh, transistor, and then I'm seeing voltage gains and nice signal coming through the second IF and on to at the detector. It's around 4.9 volts, I think. So it seems like the that part of the radio is okay, and I think if you've seen earlier in the video, I've tested the audio amplifier and it's working real good too. So, and it's just the oscillator just doesn't run, and I've got voltage at the two transistors that are in the front end, but there's no current draw. Um, and I've checked several resistors. I've checked a couple of disc capacitors, and the main problem is that I think that something wasn't connected right when I got the radio, or I didn't take good enough pictures, and something is not connected right. And this is further exacerbated by the fact that I think the schematic, and I could be wrong, but it almost looks like the schematic is like maybe not 100% accurate. I wonder if they just stuck that schematic on these radios and they never updated it as they made changes, because it does seem like it could be um, maybe just a smidgen different, but I mean, and maybe not. I mean, it's so hard to tell, and one of the problems that I'm running into, and this is kind of the reason why I just want to put it up for now, is because every time I change something, the traces are just vanishing off this thing. Like this, the traces are just awful on it. I mean, it's bad. You can't, if you touch any trace with a soldering iron, it's gone. You're not doing it a second time. That trace will be gone. And a lot of the traces have just broken and lifted. And there could be a broken trace somewhere, but I've ohmed them out and I can't find one.
So I just don't know. I really don't. And I'm afraid that if I just keep messing with it, I'm going to lift more traces and make it worse. And what I'm hoping is that I could buy a lot of radios on eBay like I typically do, and maybe find another one of these in there, because they were probably pretty common. And if that's the case, then maybe I could see how the antenna wires are actually supposed to be connected, and how some of these traces are supposed to be connected. Because I do think it's possible someone did work on this radio before me. I just, gosh, I hate to give up on it. I mean, if you've seen my other videos, I've given up. Well, I've given up on one before, but the Hitachi, I'm still waiting on parts. I'm going to attempt it again. But I'm by my nature, I do not like to give up. That is just not part of who I am. But it's not fun at this point. This is supposed to be a fun hobby. This is like when I started playing guitar, um, again in my early 20s. I'd kind of dropped it as a kid because it would frustrate me, and I told myself, like, no, this is supposed to be fun. We're not going to do that thing where we get frustrated. And that's how I view this. Is a hobby, and I'm doing the YouTube thing so that I can help other people and share information and things like that. So if I can't fix the radio, well, it doesn't make for very good entertainment, but it is what it is. Maybe there's people out there that would record this, and they wouldn't post it because they don't. There's a kind of a natural tendency for people not to admit their failures and try to learn from them, but that's just not who I am. I value humility. And one thing I can say is that although I haven't been able to fix it yet, I have learned a great deal. I have really played around with my oscilloscope a lot, my signal generator, played around with all sorts of things. I feel so much more confident, even though I've failed here. If I have to diagnose a bad converter, maybe the oscillator wasn't running in another radio, I feel a little bit better about my diagnostic skills, because I'd never really thought to check the antenna coil or the tuning capacitor, and it's really not that difficult to do. So that's definitely something that I could do more from now on. And I got practice at changing a couple of more transistors, and and just hours. I mean, even when I haven't been working on the radio out here, I've been inside staring at the schematic for I don't know how long. So I've got a little bit more experience at just looking at how these radios are, how they're engineered and stuff. So I'm definitely I'm leaving with more than I came, like Chris Ledoux says. So uh, I I can't be too upset about it. I paid $5 for it, so it is what it is. If you want to look at it in entertainment value, I got 30 something hours of enjoyment out of it for $5. What are you going to do? You can't. I mean, you go to a movie, it costs a lot more than that, and you can't even hardly get a book that's 30 something hours long for $5 anymore. Maybe if you go to a yard sale and find the Count of Monte Cristo or Atlas Shrugged or something. But hopefully, um, actually, let me get you in here and I want to show you some of these traces and just how wretched they are, and so you can see what I'm working with. But I mean, this area here, all the traces are just gone, and I didn't even solder on it that much. I had to solder a jumper from the Litz wire because I had soldered it so many times. This stuff down here looks like someone had worked on it before, and this big giant piece of trace that I showed was lifted. And then you've got this transistor up at the top that I changed. And all the traces are gone in that area. And again, I've stared at the schematic a lot. I'm pretty sure that I've got it hooked up right, but it's just not working. I mean, the oscillator just doesn't run. And I don't, I don't know. I'm very frustrated, but I'm ready to just admit my failures and move on to a patient that I can help. So anyway, I wish this were a better ending, but hopefully y'all enjoyed it and you can appreciate the realism here. And if you have one of these radios, then I know sometimes just going and looking at a YouTube video of someone else that has one so that you can kind of see what they look like on the inside or the back of it, because if you're bidding on them on eBay, you can't see that stuff. So maybe that would help you out or something. And who knows? I mean, if I hopefully I will work on it again, but if not, it might end up being like this Jade. I mean, I've got lots of parts here that I could use in other radios. My guess is this tuning capacitor and this antenna coil and these IF cans would be really good parts, and this audio transformer if I ever needed them. And again, I'm not really ready to junk this one out, because if I can buy another one like it and figure out how it goes, then I might do it. But anyway, we'll just move on and take a deep breath. If this was the worst thing that happened in life, I suppose we'd be doing all right, wouldn't we? And we'll see you on the next video.